Hi, everybody. This is Conversations in the Clinic. I'm Dr. Kelly, and today we are talking about pointing to the destination and how to actually offset all the stress that happens in our lives. So, again, I just want to say thank you for joining me today, sharing your time, energy, and attention. I promise that we will make it worth your while. My goal with this whole series is to give you clear, practical advice that costs $0. It does cost your time, energy, and attention, but it will cost you $0 to make these types of changes. So let's review our parts of our brain. We have a logical side of our brain and a motivated side of our brain. And the logical side is the one that goes out and buys the really cool highlighters, and it spends 5 hours researching the best planner to buy and the coolest alarm clock and the best yoga mat. And it's kind of the procrastinator, right? Plans out every meal. The motivated side is what actually gets us to do and use those things, right? We need both of these parts of our brain to function as human beings, but the motivated side is much older and evolutionarily evolved, right? That's the part of our brain that like we share with lizards than the logical prefrontal cortex of like, I know I should choose the apple over the ice cream type of decisions. Okay. So, in order to get that logical side of our brain to work in the way that we want it to, we have to give it these like little breadcrumbs. We have to give it, we call it like point to the destination. And I've referenced this before. You know, in a movie, in a sports movie or a war movie, when it looks like all the chips are down and everybody's about to give up, and then one character or one thing happens and it gives them like a little glimmer. And all of a sudden they like get some momentum and they start fighting. And by the end of the movie, they win. That's a breadcrumb. That's pointing to the destination. That's showing a horizon that's within reach. And okay, we'll give one final surge to try to get this thing done. So think about your destination when it comes to like stress in your life. Okay, because we need and want some stress. That's what keeps us alive. We were never meant to deal with chronic stress the way that we do now, right? We live in a society where we have easy exposure to news and outlets and social comparisons and mortgages and bills and all kinds of things. We were never really evolved to live like that. So it makes sense that if you look around, a lot of people are walking around chronically inflamed, easily irritable, you name it, right? Blood pressure, heart attacks, all that stuff. So think about the destination where you've been like in a good spot when it comes to your stress. Maybe it's because you had genuine connections with family and friends. Maybe you had like a body that felt like loose and limber. Maybe you were caught up on work for once in your life, and you could go to sleep that night knowing like you accomplished all of the tasks that you set out to do that day or week. Think about maybe it was financial stability and contentment. Think about time for hobbies and being able to actually do the things you enjoy doing. Maybe you've journaled and that's been a really helpful outlet to get your stress out. Maybe your sleep has gotten better and you actually have time to sleep deeply and wake up refreshed. So this is where we have to now chase that feeling, right? That's pointing to the destination. So think about those days, and everyone's destination is going to be different. For me, it's when I am caught up on work, and that's rare because I do a whole lot of things. I wear a lot of hats. But on the days that I have caught up on work, I'm nicer to my husband. I am a better clinician for my patients. Um, I'm a better mom to my daughter. Like when I regulate that, I'm the best version of me. So we need to find that destination and then reverse engineer, like, how did we get there? For me, with that example, to keep going with it, like, if I have written down the things that I got to do the next day, like three at the most, usually it's one, but it's three at the most, and then I get them done, I can rest easy the rest of the day, knowing like those things got done. So continue to pay attention to like small daily stressors. We all have them, bills and work and family and news and social media. We can also take control of this in like our diet, what we consume food wise, right? Try to eat foods that are high in fiber. Try to eat foods that have low inflammatory indexes, low glycemic indexes. eat real foods from God's garden. That's like my go-to advice for people. Um, be able to move your body. So walking, start paying attention to your step count. Do the things you like to do. It feels really good to be strong. So if you weight train, that's a really good, easy way to offset stress. I shouldn't say easy, simple way to offset stress. If you play sports, right? If you have a hobby that makes you move, there's running club, there's pickleball, there's all kinds of great things out there that we can do. And then maybe it's reflecting and regulating and being able to journal regularly, or even just pulling aside someone at night, right? A spouse or a child or a parent and saying, what are you grateful for from today? What did you learn from today? How do you want to be better for tomorrow? How'd you show up and help somebody today? Whatever it is. Um, but lay those breadcrumbs down and recognize that the destination is on the other side of that breadcrumb. Um, there's a great book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And you don't really have to read it because the title explains it. But basically, a zebra can't wake itself up at 2 o'clock in the morning and diagnose itself with a terminal illness by 3 o'clock in the morning. But I've done it, and almost every human I know has done that because we have this capacity to imagine and create a situation in our heads that doesn't exist. A zebra or any other animal doesn't have that. Um, and think about the people in your life. I have middle schooler nieces and nephews. They have to navigate social pressures every single day. I have patients who have aching, nagging aches and pains and constant appointments that they're going to see doctors for. I have friends who are managing their jobs, their student debt, their childcare options. Um, we have citizens of the world who are affected by policies that we may or may not agree with. It's a stressful place out there. And think about it, 1,000 years ago, like none of that existed at all. So stress is a modern invention, and our biology just hasn't caught up with it. So my challenge for you to attempt to offset this stress, because I used to say manage it. We have to offset it. We have to find ways that do more of what we love and relax us versus feeding this stress machine that we think is keeping us alive, but is really slowly killing us. So try a breadcrumb, reverse engineer all that, and try a breadcrumb and see how you do with it. If it doesn't work, make it smaller. Make it so tiny and atomic that like you're like, how could this possibly make a difference? And then answer that and think to yourself, if I did this every day for a year, would my life look any different? And I can guarantee you that it would. It would look and it would feel different, right? So as always, that's it for now. I appreciate you. Thank you for spending and sharing your time, energy, and attention with me. Keep moving and keep getting better every day.